All right, guys, my goal with this today is to kind of go over basics of our stacks offense, if you are our pairs. So your general formation, what we have two attackmen at the pinches. We have two midfielders here in zone two. So and then we've got a midfielder in the skunk. The skunk being the third attackman. We need to know who the third attackman is, obviously in the ride situations. And this is where some of our conversations between our attack need to happen. For example, if we have one righty and two lefties at attack, we should obviously move the skunk to the other side. They need to decide who is who. If we have three righties as the attack, that's fine too. We just need to understand where we might go. We might have a righty here, and a righty here. Okay, so assuming that we have a lefty attack at this particular stage. So basically the way to kind of understand it is we're basically playing with four midfielders in that concept and two down low attackmen. Each one of these pairs, you've got zone one, zone two, and zone three behind. Each one of these pairs, they're looking to work amongst themselves to try to generate defensive communication issues. And constant movement is probably the key, which is a little thing that we're kind of not seeing just yet. So notice I put these, how far wide we are. We want to make sure that we widen out as best we can in an effort to stretch the defense out as well. Understanding that if the ball is here in zone one, we would obviously have the defense in this adjacent slide package, and we would see these guys covering in this wall area. And if we hide in too much here, we're really not giving ourselves options to keep things going. So, and we can start to cheat, but that's fine. So if the ball starts in this area, all right, we do something we call load them up. All right, at that particular stage, we should be setting some sort of pick. And we don't have to use a pick, but some sort of pick in the area of where the goalie is. You should have this almost this line. So if even he was here at the 90, we'd be sitting at the 90 degree. This would be the 45. I call this here, this area here, the halfway, and I call this area here the 0. And it works on the other side as well. So basically we'd load him up with the goalie within the area. Once again, if he's over here, we'd be loading him up here in this area so that he can choose one way or the other as to whichever way he wants to go. We don't have to use the pick. In fact, I think I would prefer to see the partner, the pick, or a shadow, if you will, leave early. Understanding we have a righty player at this point, he's probably going to want to take it up over the top. So maybe we leave early in this stage with him ready to kind of read in here, and he would be going. So if we pass to him, we're good. If we drive, we're good. So probably the big thing to understand is, right, if we take skinny, we're through and we're out the back. So we have this triangle look here. Right, and he's got the original triangle with the push. At this stage, we really want to get it to him, obviously, if we can take it to score, but at the same time, we want to drive this hard the other side. So what's happening on the backside when this all occurs? Well, what we should start to see is this backside cut, all right, and almost in this pancake action. All right, we call it when we stack them like here, a little bit of a pancake. So we should start to see here. So we call that the fade as he goes over the top, right? He comes down here, we have this look. So we have either a pass, right, with a quick load and a dodge, or a pass, a quick load and a dodge. On his pass, he's obviously should be cutting. And that's kind of like a general rule in which we're trying to hope to get these guys to do on their own. This idea of you're doing something, you're moving. You could pass, you can then fade. Sometimes it's easier just to pass and give a little give and go type cut as to where we're going. So he passes, boom, and then he kind of cut, and then he's gonna come back to home, which is his guy. He'll then reset himself. And now we have our pairs where they need to be. Once we catch this, we can either take it this way or this way. If we go this way, then we're gonna have to make sure that we slice him, we pop, and we're out the back as well. So we have, once again, our initial triangle with the ball, and then as we continue this down, we have another triangle with the ball. All right, and that's general rule of thumb. Same idea if we attack from the other side. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna get into this fade-ish area here. There's a little bit of this pancake look. He's up over the top. All right, we get a nice initial look there. All right, so if we take it from behind, we could just take it, and at this stage, we wanna hit a fade with a dive. So we're gonna dive in, and we're gonna fade up so he can have his space. Once again, triangle look. I like to bring these guys a little bit here, so we have this over the top help. Also, if it's none of it's really there, we can continue, swing it, and then we're good to go on that as he goes. So even if he passes it to him, he can catch, quick load, and he can take it over the top. One of the things that, right, we're gonna keep these guys even. These guys should be constantly be even. As he goes, he could cut, or he could drop back. But when he passes it upfield, we're gonna wanna make sure that he also kind of cuts through. Once again, you have another initial give and go in this area too. And they can kind of interchange. We could load him up. All right, we're gonna dodge from here at this particular stage. We're gonna have this backside cut, right? We'll have this backside look. He can keep himself even. He can take it either way. He can come here with it. He can roll off. He can come into this side. He can roll back, give it to him, drive hard, fade, cut. All right, make a decision. All right, make a decision is what you're gonna do. Pass it on up, load, cut, fade, cut, or he could even cut and fade off the back. We can even just interchange that. So a lot of things we can do with this. It's the key is just the constant movement. And when we dodge, we want to make sure that we are on the outside wide. We want to start, as Coach Richard said in the practice on Sunday, you know, we're kind of starting here. Like, you don't have to go right away. When we start it, let's start it with the intent to run the offense, not just because you have it. So even if you have to wait for your partner to get into his spot, that's important as well. He passes you the ball, and sometimes we go and we have to wait. So that's why this constant pass and be looking to cut should work a little bit better as like an offensive scheme. Let's also think about free flowing. If you see it, cut it. You know, we start swinging this ball around, see some space, cut into space. If we're coming over here and you see space, cut into that space. As long as that we keep ourselves even, we are good. What happens though is if we go and we don't have help, because offenses have to stay fairly even to kind of operate, we could dive cut this too as well, almost like a basketball cut. All right, reading that over the top, especially if we have an initial pass, if I swing it on over, that's a good thing to happen. Issues that we see that arise in this offense. Sometimes we get too pancakey, in which we're doing this, pass it on over, and we just keep doing this. So it's always good to understand, like, if I'm gonna dodge, I wanna climb this ladder into this area where I can really get into some space. So if I wanna dodge from this 45, I can dodge it from here. So I'm gonna swing it on up, right? Get into this area, and then I can go and choose. Once again, as soon as I pass, I'm gonna look to make some movement. Another area of concern that we have is once, and I mentioned it before, but when this attackman comes around and passes, it's difficult, let's say we fade, it's difficult to pass, especially if he gets wide. He needs to then cut, because if we do take it back against the grain, right, we're going one way, and then we hit back against the grain, that makes, if he's there, his defender is just gonna hang up. He's gonna sit in, and then they have the immediate double, all right? So we've established a couple things, right? We're gonna try to make sure that we're passing and cutting. We're trying to making sure that we're constantly moving and cutting, and that we're dodging from space. So we're climbing ladders to get high and wide so that we can initiate the offense with speed and agility rather than just agility. Because if we start too tight, the defense doesn't have to move as much and get themselves running diagonally. Is really what we're really looking to have that happen. So we need to dodge with authority and dodge with clarity, so that we all understand where we're starting from. So the point is, on this type of offense, is to kind of keep it grinding and grinding and grinding until we feel that, okay, we've exhausted some options, let's pocket the ball, let's control ourselves, and let's restart from somewhere else. Rather than just a play, hey, we're gonna run this. It needs to be a continuous motion. So therein lies that offensive theory. So when we come down, let's say we're coming down with the ball, right? We're in our fast break look, we're coming down, and let's say we're getting everybody down and we're coming down the sideline. We really wanna look for this idea to get him here, get him through, get him out the back. Let's clear out a zone. Let's get him the ball so that we can have our guys coming down. Obviously, we have some quick looks that we can do within this slow break opportunity, but we're gonna do something we call sauce the ball and pocket the ball. All right, when we go over a lot of fast break opportunities, 5v4s, 4v3s, but once we have this 6v6 look coming down, we're gonna pocket the ball. And the point of that purpose is to covet the ball. We wanna possess it, we wanna care for it. So we wanna get nice and wide and really look to work that ball. And if we've come down the field on this side, we can call this the strong side, because that's where the strength of the ball. We wanna swing it over to the weak side, and technically we wanna try to get it back up here. We don't wanna bring it down and turn around and get him, because the defense and everything is already over here. We wanna continue it out the back. Even if he's covered, he swings out back over here and they cover him, it's fine, just filter back through, we keep running it back, get it back over here, transfer it there, and he comes, and then we start to even things up. And now we're in our sauce call. And our sauce call is literally we're just getting it around until we can establish, do we have guys coming off? Is he coming off and then we're replacing him with a new player? Is he an LSM that needs to come off and replace him with a new player? All right, and then once we establish that we are all set, right, like poker, small blind, big blind, the pot's right, we're now ready to play. All right, during this sauce call, we should start to see these guys get themselves set. Guys, I'm zone 3, we're zone 3. All right, I'm a skunk, I'm over in zone 2, and we're establishing who we are, and all of a sudden, we're now ready to operate. All right, so hopefully that might help explain a couple things and get you guys a little bit more on board as to what we're attempting to do.